Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Ethical Consumer Podcast. I'm your host, Julia, and today I have with me two fabulous entrepreneurial females from the University of Michigan, Jacqueline and Taylor, who are the founders of Brassica. So, girls, tell me, what is Brassica? Whoever wants to go first.
Yeah, so Brassica, we make Cauli oats. So it's cauliflower hidden in your oatmeal. We built our company by wanting to share good food that makes you feel great. So the idea behind our first two bowls is it's a full nutrition profile. So we've got a complex carb, a fat, a fiber, a plant-based protein, and a hidden veggie all in one. And then we have two flavors. So we have apple and spice, which is more of your traditional oatmeal, and then cacao and coconut, which is a play on having chocolate for breakfast, which many of us loved as kids.
Yes. And I actually pre-ordered did you say coconut cacao or cacao and coconut? Which order do we go in just to get that right?
Cacao and coconut.
Cacao and coconut. I pre-ordered that one, and I'm super excited because even when I make my oatmeal still, I usually put a little bit of cacao powder in it, a little bit of maple syrup, because oatmeal by itself sometimes is just not as exciting. So putting chocolate or putting apples and cinnamon with it, I super love.
Exactly.
Jacqueline, what is your preferred flavor? Do you like the apple or do you like the coconut cacao?
Ooh, I will say I've always had a huge sweet tooth. I eat dessert pretty much every day, so I have to go with the cacao coconut, and I've always been a stovetop oatmeal maker. So that's my preferred flavor and way of making it.
Got you. When you make it on the stovetop, do you usually use water or do you use a milk or plant-based milk?
I use water typically, but I always add in a splash of plant-based milk at the end just to give it a little bit of extra something.
Sure. I hear you. Oh, fun. What are your favorite additions? Both of you. Jacqueline, you can go first. What do you like to add into the already existing Brassica cauliflower oats?
Yeah, toppings are a huge thing that Taylor and I are both very into as well. So I personally like adding a crunch, whether it's a nut, a seed, granola, a nut butter, a big almond butter, but right now I want a peanut butter kick, and then some fresh fruit as well. So whatever's in season or whatever I have on hand.
Cool. Love it. How about you, Taylor?
Yeah, I love to mix it up with this. We actually have on the back of both our packages, #EatBrassiWith for some inspiration. So a lot of those are my favorites. I'll normally do an almond butter or peanut butter, and then something for a crunch as well. I love putting granola on it. And then lastly, I like to do a dollop of a plant-based yogurt. So coconut or almond milk yogurt.
I love that. Okay, so I've been looking for a good coconut or almond milk or oat milk, what have you, plant-based yogurt, because dairy, I try to stay away from dairy for multiple reasons. We just don't get along that well, if I'm being perfectly honest. And I like to use plant milk substitutes. Do you have a favorite plant-based yogurt you'd like to recommend?
I have a few. So I am a big yogurt eater. Also, dairy does not go well. It makes me break out. So I've been searching for a good plant-based yogurt for a while now. My favorite, if I want almost like a Greek yogurt, thick yogurt bowl, is Cauli, which is a bit more expensive, but awesome for a parfait. And then one that has a more unique taste is lava yogurt. And that is made with a pili nut. So it almost has a bit of a sourness, but I really like it. And then the last one is Whole Foods 365 unsweetened yogurt. That one's definitely the most affordable. So that's kind of my everyday yogurt. And all three of those are refined, sugar-free, dairy-free, awesome ingredients.
Got you. Awesome. I will be able to check out a few of those. There is not a Whole Foods in my area, but the Cauli sounds familiar. I think that might be at my local natural grocers. And what was the second? Did you say lava? Like lava? The floor is lava?
Lava. So Lava.
Laba. Uh-huh.
V as in violet.
Oh, it is a V. Okay. B's and V's are hard to hear on computers sometimes. Got you. So now that I've heard some of your favorite toppings and some of your favorite ways to make it, how did this come about? What was the origin story of Brassica? And actually, maybe before we get into that, Where did the name come from for those who maybe don't see that relation?
The name comes from the word brassica. So brassica is the cruciferous vegetable family. We like to say cauliflower's veggie family. And so we took brassica and cut it a little shorter to do brassi. So Brassi.
I love it. It's super cute. And if you, I think I remember on our first call, I'm like, wait, okay, is it brassy or brassy? Because you said sometimes with the Midwest accent, you guys are actually not from the Midwest. We'd read it as brassy, which is not. It is not. It is brassy. But then I did put two and two together of Brassica. For some reason, I don't know why that was in my head. Maybe it was from reading your website. Maybe I actually paid attention in science class back in the day. I don't know. So now that we know the food or the name origin, how did you two start creating these Cauli oats?
Yeah, so back in April this year, I had started a food blog on Instagram and was making a lot of different recipes for it. And I came across the idea of putting cauliflower into your oatmeal. And so it started with going to the grocery store and buying frozen rice cauliflower and adding that in on the stovetop. And it was great. It filled me up. It was nutritious, snuck a vegetable in. So I loved it for that. I started sharing it on my blog and saw it catch on with housemates and then with some guy friends, and then even had a housemate's mom text me asking where she could buy cauliflower rice. So from there, thought I was on to something. And then as far as making the business, I have always been interested in entrepreneurship and wanted to start something, but hadn't quite thought of that idea that I wanted to tackle. And this felt like it could catch some traction, especially with the trends of cauliflower and plant-based protein right now. And Jacqueline and I have been great friends since our freshman year at University of Michigan. And I knew she was also interested in entrepreneurship and healthy eating and was a fellow oatmeal lover. So I reached out to her and we entered a school business competition.
Got you. Jacqueline, what was that business competition like? Did you guys propose an idea and then get rated on how plausible, like kind of like Shark Tank, I guess?
Yeah, similar style. So you pretty much pitch with an idea and any work that you've done. So at that point, we were only 2 weeks in. So we only had an idea and no business plan or anything. So we actually didn't get into the business competition. And they rejected us, but we were both just very into that idea because we had talked about it for like 2-3 weeks now, and we decided why not? We might as well just go ahead and see what we can make out of it.
That's they rejected you. That's a little bit sad, but like, I'm glad you went for it anyways. You're like, we're gonna do this thing. Let's go ahead and put ourselves out there, because a lot of people never start. They get this super cool idea. They even get like a co-sponsor or co-business partner or something like that, and they don't run with it. So I love that you guys ran with it. I should also note that this is the youngest company that we've had on the podcast. It was previously held by my dear friend Kat of Social Mixers, Simple Syrup. Sorry, Kat, you've been booted. Kat's episode on recording, she'd done her first farmer's market sale, I think a month prior, almost a month to the day. She did her first farmer's market sale. And you guys are actually in pre-launch. You're in pre-order stage and hopefully start shipping the second week of March. Is that right? Cool.
Yes, exactly.
Awesome. You're also the two youngest guests that I have had on the show, as you are both seniors at U of M. So what did it look like when you were trying to do this? Do you have full-fledged freezers and a kitchen? Were you able to just start this straight out of your living situation, or did you get a commercial kitchen right away?
So it started with Jacqueline coming over and putting around 50 sticky notes onto the walls of our house and starting to make a plan with how we could see this come out, what recipes we wanted to try. And then it really came from just using our home kitchen, trying recipes, having our housemates try them, getting our family's feedback. As far as going to the product that we're going to sell, we're no longer using that frozen cauliflower. We're using freeze-dried. So a big thing was we wanted this to be accessible and easy to have on hand. So it's got a long shelf life and you could take it on the go. You can keep it at home. So that was an extra step of finding a lot of suppliers, and now we'll be packaging out in Ypsilanti at a commercial kitchen to sell.
Okay, awesome. I love that you mentioned that too, the fact that it is freeze-dried cauliflower. You mentioned you started doing the cauliflower rice, and I'm assuming, did you make that yourself or did you buy that frozen to start with, or a little bit of both?
Originally, I bought it frozen, so you can buy kind of where the frozen peas and carrots are, frozen cauliflower rice. And so that's how it started.
I love the idea that the fact that it is the freeze dried, because so many people do not always have access to a big enough freezer to hold everything that they want. Unfortunately, right now, with everyone out of power in Texas, a lot of frozen goods are going bad. So the idea to have something shelf stable, a pantry staple, or even early on last year, I know my fiance and I, when we weren't sure the situation of the grocery stores and toilet paper with pandemic problems, is like, well, we're not really pantry people, but I guess we're going to turn into pantry people. And one of our staples was oatmeal, actually. I got some quick oats. I got some regular rolled oats. And then I did get some packets too, just for ease of use. But the produce is what I think we missed the most. For a while there, we weren't doing grocery stores. We would do grocery pickup. And I didn't really want to have someone else pick out my produce. Produce is a very personal thing. I don't know if you guys feel that way, but I just wanted to pick out my own produce, and to have something that is still nutritious, that is still a vegetable that can be a pantry staple aside from beans or canned vegetables. Things like that I think is really cool. And like you said, a lot of, kids and, well, adults in general too, might not always reach for cauliflower or reach for a vegetable, especially not for breakfast. Usually we think of breakfast as being carby. So you're covering a whole lot of ground with just one beautiful product, which I'm excited to try. I'm super stoked. So I will be doing maybe I'll do a live making of my first bowl of Brassica. I'll do it on stovetop, Jacqueline style.
Yes, we'd love that.
So you said Jacqueline, you came over with like 50 sticky notes and put them all over the house, just trying different recipes. How long was your R&D process, your research and development? Did you come up with it like that day? You're like, this is it? Or did you do this for like months?
Yeah, so we started around November, and we probably had recipes that we're pretty happy with by beginning of January. So still pretty quick, like a 2-month process, but a ton of taste tests. We probably had 5 or 6 flavors that we were playing around with first, and then doing a bunch of different variations on it. I was having my family eat oatmeal like as snacks throughout the day, and then after dinner, and then also for breakfast, and got tired of oatmeal for about a week, had to take a break. But a lot of the flavors we still really love, and we'd love to bring them out in the future. So still a lot to play around with there, but taste testing was definitely like a really fun time in our process.
I love that. So you did get sick of oatmeal, or the Brassica, the Cauli oatmeal, just briefly. You took a week off and then you came back to it. Did you have like a palate cleanser? Like, I don't know if they still have this out or not. I just remember like smelling perfumes when I was younger, and there was like a cup of coffee beans or something to cleanse your nose palate. Did you have a substitute to differentiate for your taste buds?
Yes, I went to savory options for a while. So some avocado toast, which is another staple of mine. And the fun thing with our Cauli oats too is you can make them into pancakes or waffles. So I went on a pancake kick for a while with our oats, so still using them, just in a different form.
I love that.
Which is fun.
I think I saw one of you, I don't remember, maybe it was the Brassica account, Taylor, maybe it was your account, when you were making, you were doing them in a waffle maker, and I was wondering, I'm like, I wonder if they're using the oats, or like maybe they're teasing a new product. Are they going to do waffle mix now, or pancake mix? But you use the Brassica packet straight into the waffle maker, which is really cool.
Yeah, we do. Exactly. And we actually have it right here. With all of our pre-orders, we're sending out these fun cards, and on the back we have the recipe for how to make the Brassica mix into a pancake.
Nice.
So that will be shared if other people, with any friends who have said they aren't oatmeal eaters, we say, well, you can make pancakes or another substitute as well.
I like that it's even more versatile than just doing the oatmeal because we've been on a pancake kick recently and it's so easy just getting a good pancake mix from the store. Even we don't always mix all of our ingredients because we're lazy, and if it's Sunday morning and I want pancakes, I don't want to reach for all of the measuring cups. But it's nice that you can switch the form. Like it is a multi-purpose pantry staple too, and again, you're still getting vegetables. I think there was a while there we just kept making pancakes on Saturday morning and Sunday morning, and I did get a little sick of pancakes. I switched it up with some peanut butter on top or some almond butter. Stanley, a previous guest, has Good Galaxy. It's a wonderful vegan canola oil base, no palm oil included, chocolate spread. He's got hazelnut, regular chocolate, and then peanut. And that did it for me for a little while. I got to make my pancakes sweet and chocolatey and taste like dessert. But yeah, every once in a while you do need a break from the routine. So it's nice that you can use the same thing without switching it up too much. So when you were going through this process, you were having friends and family as taste testers. Did you ever experiment with something other than cauliflower, or was it Cauli from the get-go, hands down?
We thought briefly about doing something like zucchini because Zoats is what it's called, so zucchini oats.
Cute.
The problem we ran into is it has the green peel. And so if you did a flavor like apple and spice, it's a lot more obvious. And we call our Cauli oats, we say it's oatmeal with a hidden vegetable. So the cauliflower hides really well. The green specks do not hide as well to kids or picky eaters who are a little scared of their vegetables still.
That's too funny. I'll do the taste test with my fiance too. He loves oatmeal. He also loves cauliflower. He is a master of cauliflower wings. So like he's not opposed, but he's also like cauliflower maybe doesn't belong in oatmeal. So Matt is usually the taste tester for the does this pass? Is this a close enough vegan substitute? Because I'm happy to have everything, but Matt's like, I don't know, it's like pretty close. So I'm sure he will love it because he is definitely not opposed to cauliflower, but I could see the green peel not being sneaky enough for someone like my brother when he was younger.
Yeah, I definitely have some family members who, when I come up with new creations, I can tell if they're being supportive or if they really like it. If they're being supportive, they take one bite and say they enjoyed it. If they really like it, they go in for a few more bites. And we got Brassica to where they all went in for extra bites. So that was promising for the non-veggie and health food lovers.
That is the goal. Now, how did you decide, and you don't have to reveal them now because, maybe in the future you'll want to do a surprise launch or something like that. But out of all of the other flavors you tried, was there one that just like completely bombed or one that just like barely made the cut without divulging any information, of course?
Ooh,
hard question.
There's a few that have to do with caffeine related items. Maybe some matcha, maybe some coffee that we both really enjoyed.
Sure.
So there's some plays on that we both really enjoyed, but we thought the cacao, coconut, apple spice probably appealed to the most people. And then something that we've been talking a lot is a savory line. So also some ideas there. Can't reveal too many of our secrets, but maybe keep an eye out in a few months or so.
No worries. We are not revealing any secrets here. Those are for you to divulge when you are ready. I will say, I remember, I think maybe it was last year or the year before, I think Hy-Vee was having a special. For those of you not in the Midwest, Hy-Vee is a grocery store chain. I think it's in Iowa, Minnesota, and a couple surrounding. Not entirely sure it's in Michigan. It is not. I'm getting a nod. No. But of all of them, there's on occasion a shopping cart that's just sitting there that has like super discounted product. Like a company came out with a new thing and it was just like it did not go off the shelves, or it was too high of a price for what it was. And it was Quaker oatmeal, and it was like 50 cents for a box of like 12. Like it very clearly did not go well, and they're like, we need to get rid of this. And there was a lemon ricotta flavor. I tried it. It was interesting. There was a chai flavor. I liked that one. That one was really good. But the lemon ricotta, there are just certain things that maybe don't need to be in oatmeal form. But the matcha and the coffee, I would totally be down for that. But cheese, just ricotta in general. I didn't reach for the second packet of that one. Did you have anyone who was just like totally opposed at first and then kind of changed their minds? You mentioned that some family members did start going in for second bites once you got that final recipe down.
I would say my older brother was definitely a bit skeptical, thinking it was a project I was doing for school that wouldn't go far. He is not a huge oatmeal eater, nor a vegetables in the morning eater. Mm-hmm. But we were able to get him on board with the cacao and coconut.
Nice. I'm excited. Now I'm thinking, I think I might have actually gotten the mixed bag. I think I got the mixed bag. I think I got both. I was going back and forth, and then I wanted to try both. I'm pretty sure that's what I got. You'll have to check my printer.
I'm going to say we do offer the bundle and save, which is a perfect starter pack. So you get 2 cacao and coconut and 2 apple and spice for a discounted price. That's definitely been our top seller so far.
I think that's the one that I did now that I'm thinking about it. But I'm extra excited for a little sweetness in the morning. So when you're just starting out as a small company, because it's just you two, and do you have a manufacturing crew too, or just you two? You're doing it all. Nicely
yeah, we're in the
done.
kitchen.
I love that. But you're so involved and hands-on with it too. So I feel like every business kind of starts to go through this as I've had more guests on the podcast. The difficulty and the necessity and the desire around certifications, because certifications can be extremely expensive, especially just starting out. What do your ingredient qualities look like? Are you non-GMO, organic, playing with it?
Yeah, definitely agree that there's so much in the space that Taylor and I have talked about a ton. Because as students, we just don't have the money to give $100 here or there for all the certifications. So we're about 50% organic right now for our ingredients, and we are all non-GMO. But there's so much that we want to do. Like I said, it's like 1% for the planet, or we donate some of our revenue, like certified vegan, switching to gluten-free certified, non-GMO, maybe organic. So a lot of hopes to do that in the future as we start buying in larger quantities and have more revenue come in, but nothing at the moment.
Sure. Have you looked into, sorry, Taylor, go ahead.
I'm going to say one note on organic. It's something that we talked about a lot. I personally eat by the Clean 15 Dirty Dozen. So we looked to that when we were looking at our ingredients. One thing with our company is we want to make healthy living accessible and open to anyone. So oftentimes for us, at least at this stage, with the quantities we're buying, it didn't make sense to get organic on every single ingredient because the price would just go up and up, and we wanted to keep it at an affordable price. So right now it's just over $1 per serving.
That to me is plenty fair. If you're going to like a sit down restaurant or something like that, you're going to pay, I would say, at least $3, if not maybe $4 or $5 for a bowl of oatmeal. Maybe it has all of the toppings in it and everything. It's loaded oatmeal or whatever. But yeah, it's difficult. I would suppose, I would suppose that would be kind of a difficult item to price, because to buy oats is not inherently the most expensive thing to do, but to have a ready-made thing that you can have right away. Like you said, you started making these on the stovetop at your own house. You started doing this all yourself. You're saving people the time and effort it would take to either stock your freezer full of frozen cauliflower or obtaining. Can you buy freeze-dried cauliflower at the store?
Nope.
I would assume so.
No, that was our hardest ingredient to source, actually. Freeze-dried cauliflower rice is hard to hunt down.
Good for you. I had not thought of that until right there. If you couldn't tell, it's like you can just walk into Hy-Vee and buy freeze dried cut. No, I don't think you can. I don't think that's a thing. So that is something that you're offering that really no one could recreate that at home unless perhaps they find the supplier like you did. But I'm going to assume that comes with a minimum order, and your average kitchen's probably not going to need that much freeze dried cauliflower right off the bat.
Right. I've also definitely loved the convenience of it. So when I started making the recipe, this was back in April when many of us had a lot more time than we were used to.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're both students running this business. So being able to take one scoop versus getting out my cauliflower, oats, protein powder, flaxseed, and each other ingredient in there has been something that I have very much enjoyed.
For sure. I don't miss being shut in the house more than I feel like I am these days. But we had a lot more time to cook. I need to go get flour for today for Matt because we're out of flour and that's really not okay in our house. He started baking up a storm. Everyone started baking bread. Everyone started learning how to do sourdough if they were already a baker, or they were teaching themselves how to make bread if they'd never done it before. And isn't that so nice if we could just always have the time to put that much energy and effort and thought into the food that we are making? I feel like that has to have been the standard at some point in time, and we really moved away from it, and we went to convenience, carry out, fast food. At some time, frozen dinners, I think probably sabotaged that good old home cooking because you could just pop it in the microwave and then sit down in front of your TV. But it's nice to have that affordable and versatile option and have it be convenient too. Those don't always go hand in hand. The convenience is expensive more often than not, and the fast options aren't always the most fresh or nutritious. You check all the boxes, guys.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about like how a lot of the food that our friends eat or like people we know eat, like the food system's just gone so far from eating like real whole foods, and we want to remind people that that's just what like it makes us feel the best. Like you don't need a specific diet, just like eating real whole like unprocessed foods.
Mm-hmm.
So I think our brand, like that's something that we're really trying to emphasize. But we also agree that like as college students, sometimes you just don't have the time. Today I took a bagel and threw some leftover pasta sauce and vegan cheese on it and called that lunch. So it's not always easy, but if we can make it convenient for people to eat veggies, like a nice complex carb and all of that, like we'd love to do that.
Yeah. I mean, you made a pizza bagel or like a bagel bite, but do they still make bagel bites? I would assume they do. But you made like a healthy bagel bite, and it's not tiny. Yeah. You made a single bagel, I don't know, a single bagel. Bagel bites, a whole bagel. Who knows? We're getting off topic. That's what I do sometimes. That's okay. I get excited. You guys are just so much fun to talk to, and you're so excited about your product, and it's still new, and it's still fresh and fun. And this is something that I personally haven't had before. I haven't really seen it before. I don't know if other companies like that exist on the market right now, but I'm excited that you guys are also Midwest based for the moment right now, because I think so much innovation usually goes on the coast. We don't usually think of the Midwest as being a hub for more sustainable or nutritious foods, at least in the concept of a business. I think a lot of our guests have been more coastal when it comes to like kelp jerky or things like that. You're not always going to find something like that in the Midwest, but you two did not actually grow up here. Where did you guys grow up? How did, Jacqueline, maybe if you want to go first, how did you end up here in, not Iowa, but Michigan?
Yeah, so I am from a coast. I'm from the West Coast, specifically in the San Francisco Bay Area, California. So I think growing up in the Bay Area, definitely like what you said, a lot of like the new innovation, healthy eating, like sustainability. It's super big. Like my mom's been composting for years and years and years. Every Saturday we'd go to the farmer's market. My mom still like washes all her recyclables, and she's done that for years, which is pretty uncommon for a lot of American families or like people in the Midwest.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd say that's definitely like a huge inspiration for like my journey on like healthy living and sustainability. But coming to college, I just honestly wanted to get a little bit farther away from home. Knew I wanted to study business more out of like process of elimination because I didn't want to do some of the other options, and I thought business was broad enough. So with Michigan having a great business school, getting about halfway through the country to the other side, thought it'd be a great fit. And that's how I ended up in the Midwest. I do really like it. I'm not so big of a fan of the cold weather. Definitely missing like the 60 degrees it is back home right now.
Yeah.
But I will say I'm getting adjusted. I call myself like a half Michigander now, so we're getting there.
Oh man, my friend Kramer would be really excited to hear you claim Michigander status. He is a proud Michigander. I think it's right here. He holds up his hand and he does the mitten thing. Love you, Kramer. Love you, buddy. He'd be excited.
Yeah.
Taylor, how about you? Where did you grow up? How'd you get here?
Yeah, I grew up back in Oregon. So again, pretty far away from Michigan. I, growing up, always knew that I wanted to study business. So as a kid, I was running my own lemonade stands, trying to convince my parents to start companies, telling my mom I was ready to take over her business. So
oh my goodness.
definitely had that clear path as a kid. And then I also had the other two interests of sustainability and food and health. So sustainability wise, I mean, growing up in Oregon was outdoors a lot and really came to appreciate nature and want to respect it. And then on the food and health side, I grew up playing sports my whole life. And with that, got really interested in working out and nutrition. Also, when I traveled, I was always the one planning where we were going to eat and yelping before we got there. So coming to Michigan, it was an amazing business school and well-rounded school. So I was able to do my business major with Spanish and environmental studies minors. And then I've been able to niche in on this business, sustainability, and healthy food, almost triangle.
Cool. I love that. So you came at business from the get-go, and Jacqueline, you're kind of like, well, I don't really want to do these things, so we're going to give this a shot. And I agree. Business is really very broad, and it's going to be helpful in every sense. I will admit, I am not a very businessy person by nature. That's just not where my strength is. Running a yoga studio, I've figured it out. But it really is such a versatile thing to do. I would honestly recommend that to anybody that doesn't know what they want to do, because you learn how to talk to people, you learn what is marketable, what's enjoyable, and wherever you find yourself, I feel like those are really necessary life skills to have. And I did not understand that when I was in college. I'm like, why would someone want to be a Oh, because everything has to do with business. That's why. But you can take, a finance portion of it. You can take marketing. You can take just human relations in general. I think it's a really great thing that I think a lot of people should have more experience in, just to understand how businesses actually work too. And just to see how you can merge different likes and different desires. Like you said, you want to give sustainability and nutritious food a platform, and you're doing that by means of your business. Now, right. Do you intend to... Let's see, how should I phrase this? You both are graduating this year. So yes. Are you going to jump into Brassi full time, or are you going to have kind of an interim thing that you do and keep growing Brassi on the side? What's the desire around that part-time, full-time situation?
We actually both had our full-time jobs lined up last summer. So far before we started Brassi, we've had that plan. So Jacqueline will be going into investment banking in New York, and I'll be going into consulting in Chicago. We've been talking a lot about how we can keep Brassi alive, as we are both going into definitely demanding careers. And we are planning to bring on a third member who can help run more of the day-to-day operations, and then we would be more of a managerial role.
Sure.
And the other part of it would be, right now, for this first batch, we'll be packing it ourselves at a commercial kitchen. if we were to move, when we do move to the step 2, it'll be using a co-manufacturer. So signing up with a co-manufacturer who'll be packaging all of our orders so that we aren't doing it by hand while having full-time careers.
Oh, sure. At first, right now, starting out, I'm assuming doing it yourselves in a commercial kitchen is high demand, maybe a little bit high stress too, but also entirely possible. But I think that's something that consumers, I always say, support small, support local. All of that I think is wonderful. But at the same time, in order to get the message out, get products to more people, inspire more people with how you're doing your product, sometimes that's really necessary. Most of the time, that's really necessary. You two can't be in the kitchen all of the time. You have to be running your company at the same time. That's challenging. And I think it's wonderful that you're starting out right now just being jacks of all trades and handling everything yourself. I'm sure you have a wonderful support crew and you have a wonderful, I just saw your packaging actually, guys, if you want to go peep their Instagram and eat Brassi, that's Brassi, if I haven't spelled that out already. Your packaging is here. You just started printing. But for the most part, doing everything yourself has to be challenging. What does that look like, or what will that look like when you start packaging and shipping in a few weeks here?
Yeah,
especially with
like
school.
You said, yeah, like we wear all the hats, so like we're all over the place in terms of doing like marketing, finance stuff, supply chain, legal. Like you said, we do have like a little bit of help with like some help from the university on the legal side and some help from like designers and stuff like that. But like you said, like we're just fitting it in when we can. So I'm a part-time student for my last semester, so I have a lot more time. But when we can get into the kitchen for a few hours, like on an afternoon or an evening, that's when we'll be going in a package. If we have a few extra hours in the morning, sometimes Taylor and I will hop on a Zoom call to catch up on anything that happened the night before. So it's pretty spontaneous right now, and I'm sure it'll be like that for the next few months and as we go into full-time roles. But it's still very fun, and like you said, it's very new. So I always find myself gravitating towards doing Brassi stuff, maybe a little bit during class. Don't telling my professors that, or going to Brassi stuff before my schoolwork. So it's still super fun and like so much more to learn.
Yeah. You're so excited about it. That's the thing, man. I think sometimes, and maybe this is a bit of advice for you from previous guests, and you've listened to a couple of the episodes too, which I love, is, remember why you started this and remember how you felt when it was new and exciting, because I feel like we get down the road a little ways and, then sometimes it becomes work. It's still work that you love. So write this down. Remember recording this podcast with me and be like, look how excited I was. I love this. Because sometimes we all need those reminders of when it gets hard, where we started, and why we love what we're doing. It's
this
challenging.
is definitely the perfect industry for us to be doing something like this in, because everyone who has done an entrepreneurial venture knows it is a whole lot of time. But Jacqueline and I constantly talk about dreams that we have of really making an impact on the food industry and being able to help bring the food industry back to its roots, getting rid of refined sugars, getting rid of all of the, now I'm forgetting the word, all of the preservatives, everything else in there. So it's exciting, and it's also been great being able to watch other small businesses and women-owned businesses grow. And we constantly get excited at seeing that because we know it could be our future as well.
Mm-hmm. Yes, girl. Oh, yes, it will be. I have good feelers. I have lots of good feelers on that one. What are some things that you use right now to keep yourself grounded and motivated? Obviously, you have that initial spark of let's get this off the ground. Let's go. When you're having a rough day or a week or a year, what do you turn to? How do you guys kind of cope with the stresses of getting a business off the ground, pandemic, school, all of the things? What are your security blankets?
I have a few things. So one, on my desktop, I have a Brassi rainy day folder. And so if I get stressed or overwhelmed, those are screenshots of texts from friends and family and messages from people who have eaten our oats that shares the excitement. So that always gets me excited again. And then I'm also big into journaling and meditating every morning, which definitely helps me root back to the reason why I'm doing all this and just get quiet for a second.
Mm-hmm.
It's very easy running something like this and being a student, just living in today's world, to be sprinting and forget a lot of your reasons why. So all of those things have definitely helped me remember my excitement and why I'm doing this.
Yeah, I would definitely say burnout is real. So some days, like, I spend the whole day doing work and brassy stuff, and all I want to do is, I don't know, just like watch Netflix for an hour, and that's totally okay to do.
It is.
Taylor and I are big daily walk fans. So if I have an extra 20-minute like gap in between two classes or between work, like I'm just walking around my block, and sometimes Taylor and I will try to meet up during the day and just walk, chat about non-brassy related things. And that's also really nice. I would agree that like working out, I know you're a yoga teacher, but I'm very big into like vinyasa and like doing yoga. So I try to do like 20 minutes of that every day.
Mm-hmm.
I think just doing like things that you really love to do, whether it's working out or watching Netflix or eating some dessert, like that's the best way to just unwind and relax.
Yeah, for sure. Everyone finds joy and relaxation in different ways. And I think sometimes when you're moving into a different part of your life too, or a different situation, it can change. I think flexibility is one of the most important things. Like you said, it's like sometimes I want to do this, sometimes I want to do this. I listen to my body, I listen to what's going on, and then I decide what I want to do. But yeah, walking outside, I'm very thankful. Trevor of Fresh Film Marketing, he was on back in November. He's actually the producer for this podcast too. He initiated a challenge with a few of us, and he said, okay, guys, we're getting dark and stormy. It's seasonal depression time. What are we going to do? Let's do something together. And he challenged us all to 10,000 steps a day and to meditate. And I added my hydration into the mix because, yes, teaching yoga, especially hot yoga, there's a lot of sweating. There's a lot of talking that I do. But movement and just taking care of yourself. I'm proud to say I am on day 31. I'll be going on a walk after this, but day 31 of my 10,000 steps and doing them outside, which is hard in the Midwest.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
We'll get there.
Yeah, how Taylor and I actually met was through our business fraternity freshman year, and last semester we usually do these challenges where like you may meet up with each other, but during COVID it's a little bit tougher. So they did a run walk challenge where if you hit like the most steps during every week, your little like family in our business fraternity, you won a competition. So a ton of walking because of that. Because I don't know, I think Taylor and I are both pretty competitive people. So we were always like out and about, like just getting any steps that we could.
Yes. But did you notice when you did that, that's one thing I think all of us had noticed, that just trying for more and incorporating it into your lifestyle, I noticed a difference. I'm feeling so much better than I normally would. Did you notice once you were just trying, you enjoyed doing it, like past the competitive aspect?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Like, again, like huge walk lovers. Like, I think having that aspect and like making myself motivated to go, like once you come back, you just feel so good that you want to like go on a walk like the next day. And I think that's also like how I feel with like working out. Like sometimes I'll get in a slump where I don't work out for like a few weeks and then I start working out again. I'm like, this is why I like it so much. It's just I feel so good afterwards.
Yeah.
And it motivates me to keep on going.
Definitely. I love that you like yoga too. Of course, I'm a little biased. So you've listed off kind of the things that you do that make you feel better, your purpose, your why you're doing this. Do you have any inspirational books or speakers, any recommendations that you'd like to give me or our listeners too? I love book shares. Whoever wants to go first.
Yeah, I can go. About a year and a half ago, I got back into reading, which I'm also very excited about and I love doing now. So I'd say in the sustainability realm, I touched on this in the beginning, but Inconspicuous Consumption by Tatiana Schlossberg is like one of my favorite books in that space. That book officially gave me the, like, I don't know, because of that book, I've officially like stopped buying from fast fashion and officially decided to cut that out of my life. And it just talks a lot about the different systems that we interact with in our daily lives and how we don't realize how that impacts the environment. So learned a lot there. The founder of Patagonia, Yvonne Chouinard, also has a book called Let My People Go Surfing that kind of combines this fairness and sustainability aspect. So as a business student, really like that. And then on a more personal note, Educated by Tara Westover is my favorite book of all time. Education is another passion that I'm really interested in, and her memoir about her life growing up and not being able to go to school, I think was just very inspirational. So those are my favorite books. I'm also a big podcast listener, so I have a ton of recs there, but I'll let Taylor talk about what books she likes first.
I am also a big reader. I try to read every night, so I'll turn my screens off a half hour to an hour before bed. So I'll give a few recommendations. For sustainable business, I love Ice Cream Social, the struggle for the soul of Ben and Jerry's. It's all about them starting as two guys who made ice cream in Vermont and growing to this huge corporation and keeping their values, which is something that Jacqueline and I constantly talk about. In the food space, I have two favorites, Fast Food Nation by Eric Schlosser and Food Fix by Dr. Mark Hyman. So the first talks about how we got here today with fast food and what it really looks like behind the scenes. It'll probably convince you to not go to another fast food restaurant again. Food Fix is really interesting, talking about the food ecosystem from every angle. So policy, business, agriculture, tying it all together. Love that one. And then my last one I'll give is Untamed by Glennon Doyle. This is my favorite book I read last year and is honestly a book that every single woman and man needs to read. It will make you go out and want to live the life that you want to live and understand people from different backgrounds. I couldn't recommend that book enough.
I will second that. I literally just finished it.
It's amazing.
And so many people were telling me that I needed to read this book. And I was really afraid. I'd never read any Glennon Doyle Melton before. There's like the Glennon camp and then the Brene Brown camp, and I'm in both. But I feel like you start with one and then you just go on a deep dive. And I'd read a bunch of Brene Brown books, and this was my first Glennon book. And I'm thinking, so many people have told me to read this book. Have I hyped this up too much? Is this going to fall flat because I have just like a really high expectation? No, it was good. It's great. Exceeded it even. I was really thankful it was not one of those like, is this going to be the best book ever? No, I loved it. I will agree. And I love the rest of the ones that you mentioned too. Ice Cream Social. I'd heard about that book. And it just went off of my radar, and I need to put that back on there. Educated is on the list, and then Let My People Go Surfing. That was actually the first book recommendation that I think we had on the podcast. It was Steve Shriver of Ecolips. He suggested that. I downloaded it on my Kindle that afternoon. I read it in like an entire weekend, and that was just such a nice thing to read. I think we don't always see humble beginnings of huge companies like that. And Jacqueline, my dad, actually grew up in the Bay Area too, and did a lot of hiking and climbing in that area. So to see towns and places and structures that I recognize just from going out there, I got it for him for his birthday last year too. So I'll have to check back in. I'm assuming he's read it by now, but I give him a lot of books, so We'll see. Do you have any advice for, other than reading a bunch of books and just doing the dang thing, do you have any advice for younger entrepreneurs such as yourselves? What really helped you get this off the ground?
I can start that, and I'll start with talking to the position that I was in, which was really wanting to start something, but not having that $1 million idea. And I watched the masterclass from the founder of Spanx. And she gave the advice of every small annoyance or inconvenience you have in the world in your everyday, write it down and think of a solution. So I started by on an airplane writing down probably 30, 40 things that were so small. And it just gets your brain into that entrepreneurial mindset of thinking about how to solve problems every day. So that is my piece of advice for coming up with the idea. And then Jacqueline, I'll pass it to you for executing on the idea.
Yeah, this might sound, I don't know if stupid's the right word, but I'm sure like other young entrepreneurs probably hear it all the time, but just to do it. Like Taylor and I, they rejected our idea like once we came up with it and we were like, oh, this is great, but just keep on doing. Like you're gonna have doubts along the way. Like sometimes like we're a month in and we get some emails back that we're not too happy about, but just keep on chugging along and like you'll get like motivated along the way as you keep doing it. Other people, like as you tell your friends about it, they'll help motivate you. So just run with the idea, like especially if you're a young student, like you don't have much to lose if what you're doing doesn't turn out how you want it to go. And like what if even if you, I don't know, your business is a flop, if Brassica is a flop, like we've already learned so much along the way that we can bring into our next venture. So just start it. I'm sure like some days will be rough, some days will go really well, but you'll learn a lot.
Hearing that from you guys in this point of your journey is really wonderful too, because you are still kind of in that, you're past conception, you're in the action phase, you're getting there. Everything just has to come together so that you can ship it out. I think it's so meaningful to hear those words come from you, because usually you hear, you know, someone who's like has an established business of 15 to 20 years that's in their 40s, 50s, 60s, what have you. And you're like, sure, you can say that. You're at that point. Everyone started at this point. Where do you think they started? It's, yeah, hands down, just do the dang thing for sure. Taylor, I think I cut you off. I think you were going to say something right before that.
No worries. I was going to add on and say one other part of doing it is it can be incredibly overwhelming to say, I'm going to do it. Where do I start? And just every day doing one thing that moves you forward. So whether that's for us, it was trying a new recipe, contacting a supplier, seeing if a retailer was interested, thinking of our name, thinking of our colors, our fonts, what website we were going to build on. There's all of these really small moves that eventually add up. But it definitely started with us making a list of to-dos and tackling one a day.
I like that you said the inconvenienced things too, going back to the Spanx Founders masterclass. It does start with one thing. It starts with little things, little inconveniences, and how to solve them, and just doing one thing at a time and trusting that that process will come to fruition eventually. You guys are just awesome. What you're doing is amazing, and you are just going for it, and I think it's so cool. So where can we find more information about the ingredients? Your website, by the way, is absolutely beautiful. All of the ingredients are listed there. Your purpose for the ingredients, which I really always enjoy seeing, because there's some ingredients lists out there that are a little long and a little questionable. And I like that I know exactly what's in the Brassica. We can find you guys at eatbrassica.com. And then you have a beautiful Instagram as well, also Eat Brassica. Again, that's Brassi. And Taylor, you have a food blog too. Do you want to promo that a little bit?
I do. I have a Instagram blog that is at lively.tay, so lively.tay. And I share easy, healthy recipes, different lifestyle tips, and really just kind of the behind the scenes of my life on what got me excited to live this healthy lifestyle. So that's been a ton of fun as well.
Your breakfast looked really good. I think there was toast with jam and toast with avocado the other day or something. It was like double goodness breakfast.
Yes, I am incredibly indecisive when it comes to picking what to eat. So I went for a sweet and a savory, a sourdough with almond butter and a strawberry chia jam, and then a avocado toast as well.
I had breakfast envy, I'm not going to lie, because we're out of flour and we don't really buy bread anymore because Matt just can bake the bread. I have all these avocados and they're sitting on the counter. So that is why I'm going to go get flour once I'm off of this call because my avocados need to go on something and Matt can't bake me bread if I don't have flour.
If you have a good cracker, when I'm out of bread, I'll cut open the avocado and use a cracker to dip into the avocado, and that's a good temporary substitute.
I don't think the crackers we have right now, sadly, are going to withstand. He also ate all of my tortilla chips. I've been loving the late July tortilla chips.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, they're so
Such a
good.
huge fan.
And their package, actually, you can recycle through TerraCycle. Are you guys familiar with that program?
Yes, we actually talked with TerraCycle and considered using them for our packaging. So sustainability obviously is at the core of our business, and packaging is a big part of that. So we thought about, do we want to use post-consumer recycled materials?
It's a really hard phrase to say.
Do we want to use post-consumer recycled materials in our packaging, or do we want to have recyclable packaging? So we had a meeting with TerraCycle, and they're doing great work. For the phase that we're at financially, it didn't quite make sense. It would also require consumers shipping us back all of their packages. So we ended up going with the first option, which is all of our pouches are made with 30% post-consumer recycled materials, which is great for needing less virgin materials, but also increasing the demand for recycled soft plastics. So that's what we've done, but definitely would love to partner with TerraCycle in the future if we, when we go to that size.
Cool. I love that. I'm excited to see how you scale up and just to see what happens, what new innovations you can bring in. Ecolips was a really great guest to have on, Steve Shriver. They've been doing lip balm and things like that for, do I remember this? 15 years, something. They've been in business for a very long time, and they keep having these packaging innovations. And just 2 days ago, I think they released that they have I'm going to screw it up because I haven't looked. I saw it on Instagram and I was so excited. I shared it and then I had to go. It is a plant pulp based tube, if I recall correctly. Don't quote me on that, guys. Go check out Ecolips. It's on our page. So that this will actually eventually break down because it's made of plant pulp. It's not made of plastic. Previously, they had a very low plastic footprint, but that's where it's at. You look like at a company like Ecolips. I mean, they are fully established, and they just keep making these changes. Even 15 years later, they're picking up more certifications. They're changing their packaging. Sky is the limit. Like, no one is ever, set with the first thing that they create. I'm so excited to see what you guys do. You have such a fire and such a passion for what you're doing, and I can't wait. I'm stoked.
Yeah, we are definitely excited to grow and be able to make those changes. We have on our website right now a pledge to be transparent with our consumers as we grow, really being able to continue to pick at those small things that we know can improve as we grow.
Mm-hmm. Small things, one thing a day.
Exactly.
Do you guys have any last words of wisdom or any last mentions of Brassica or the magic of cauliflower?
I would say you can always eat more veggies. And
beautiful.
Brassica is a good way to do it.
I think so too. And it's shelf stable. That's probably one of the things that I'm most excited about, is that this can go in my pantry. It's a vegetable that's not going to expire on me, and it doesn't take up space in my very limited freezer either. Well, Jacqueline, Taylor, this has been so much fun to have you on and hear about this. Your smiles and your excitement for everything, I just absolutely adore. And I'm excited to get my Brassica, and I'm pretty sure, now that we talked about that earlier, I'm pretty sure I got that sample pack. I think I got both. to be determined. But yes, I will definitely be making my Brassi when I get that. And we will, of course, be posting when this episode is out, if there's any update on release date. And then when you guys do start shipping, you guys are offering pre-order right now, so you can get in on this early and be one of the first ones to get the Brassi Cauli oats. Again, that's eatbrassi.com. And we'll have shipping updates soon. Second week in March, that's the plan right now?
Correct.
Yes, it looks like it.
Yes. Winter storms and U.S. Postal Service providing. We will get these toward the second week of March. I'm super excited. Thank you so much, guys. Again, this has been the Ethical Consumer Podcast. I'm your host, Julia. If you've not already, go ahead and find us on Instagram, on Facebook. You might be watching this on YouTube already. Go ahead and give us a like, give us a subscribe. Subscribe is also a hard word to say. And if you haven't already, if you're listening to this on iTunes, please consider leaving us a review. It helps us get in the ears of more people who care about what we have to share. I'll see you next time, guys.